The mainstream media were very quick to catalogue Joe Welsh's long list of violent and strikingly heinous crimes. The crimes ranged from blade possession back in 2007, ABH in 2009, and then ambushing a man with a broken glass bottle in 2014. On a separate occasion, the North Shields madman had also put his hands on a pregnant woman, ragged her down to the ground, and then stood on her. Even after she made him aware that she was pregnant, she screamed for him to stop. Joe did not. Joe Welsh, who is considered one of the UK's most dangerous criminals, went on to commit to them. Now, Joe Welsh was dangerous, violent, unpredictable, unhinged, and intent on violence. He basked in the physical activity of landing jabs and hooks and also using blades that would then enter a person. Now, before the Joe had been part of a feral gang that had ascended on Church Street in April of 2011. Joe Welsh and his mates had armed themselves with items like blades, swords, machetes, bottles, and also bats. The Howden incident was famous. As part of the Operation Armagnac, 16 gangsters were arrested and then hauled in front of a judge over a 10-month period. At the time of the famous Howden brawl, Joe Welsh, who was 21 years old at the time, was jailed for 20 months. He was also given a 2-year injunction prohibiting him from entering Howden and part of the Churton area. Joe didn't care. The incident was said to have reached boiling point after gang leader Paul Borg had been shot in the leg in August of 2010 in an M attempt. Now, in retaliation, Paul Borg and Dean Elliott, who was a rival gang leader, had goaded each other on social media like Facebook, and then they decided to meet up where the two rival gangs could try their best to K each other, because according to Paul Borg and Dean Elliott, that's what it meant to be a real man. In the incident, a man had nearly lost his life also after being bladed in the chest. He only survived thanks to surgical operation. Now, Joe Welsh's multiple stints in jail did absolutely nothing to rehabilitate the unhinged man. In fact, he just became even more dangerous each time he was freed from his jail cell. That temper of his was triggered by his reckless impulses, and it led to the M of Reese Allen, Joe's own mate. Joe had lured Reese Allen, his mate, to an address by breaking his mum's windows, and then he lay in wait before catching Reese off guard. While Reese was caught off guard, Joe had jumped out, armed with 2 blades, and then began to stab him multiple times, until the point Reese was dead. Now, police and friends believe that if Reese Allen had not died or been in the area, then the victim could have been any number of innocent men, women, and maybe children. Joe's wickedness knew no limits. A then 24-year-old Joe Welsh had committed himself to taking a life, plain and simple. He wanted to case someone, anyone. The reason was there was no reason. Joe Welsh was categorised as one of the most dangerous criminals ever in the UK. Now, police say that they received over 4 dozen calls in the early hours of the morning on January 25th, 2016. The calls all followed the same plead: I need an ambulance to West Avenue in North Shields. Please, he's been bladed. Police raced to the scene along with ambulance crew, and they found 24-year-old Reese Allen, who was classed as a loving son and popular, suffering from multiple blade wounds, 4 in total, including stomach, neck, and armpits. The vital locations of those wounds let police know whoever was responsible had not acted without merit. The action itself was purposeful and meant to maximise pain. Now, Reese had staggered away and was found in a location not far from West Avenue. Police conducted their inquiries and began knocking on the doors, and then they found a red trail. So police followed the red trail and realised an altercation had taken place outside Joe Welsh's home. Now, police already knew who Joe Welsh was. They had previous experience with him, and they continued with caution. At the time of the blading, Joe Welsh had been recently released from jail. Police on guard, they knocked on the West Avenue home of Joe Welsh. They waited for him to answer. When Joe opened the door, police were taken back by Joe's broken jaw. He was quickly placed in handcuffs for officers' safety and told that he was under arrest for suspicion of causing GBH with intent. Joe just smirked. Now, at the time, Reese had been rushed to Newcastle's Royal Victoria Infirmary and he was in critical condition, but most importantly at this specific time he was still alive. Now, while Joe was kept at the police station, witnesses were interviewed and statements were taken. A dark and sinister picture soon emerged, and what was painted was Joe Welsh had been angry and agitated upon his release. He had gone on an over 12-hour drink and drug binge session and decided that he wanted to relieve some of his built-up angst by hurting someone, anyone. Joe had promised to blade a number of people throughout the day and was seen to be acting erratic and like a menace. Joe had settled on Reese as the two men had argued over Facebook. The actual details of the argument had not been disclosed, but it was enough to make the two men fall out. Some of the messages included Joe asking Reese to meet up for a one-on-one scrap. Now, Joe knew Reese was a family man, and the quickest way to get Reese riled up and angry was to target his family. So Joe took a paving slab to Reese's mom's home and then took out all the windows. So when Reese found out that all the windows to his mom's home had been taken out, he decided to go to Joe Welsh's girlfriend's home. Now, as Reese lay slumped on the ground, Reese's own mom Sylvia had came to the scene. She had come to comfort her son, knowing there was nothing that she could do for him. She took his phone, which was still gripped in his hand, while friends and neighbours battled to stem the lled. When Joe was interviewed by police, Joe Welsh was quick to claim self-defence. His broken jaw was a sign of this. Joe says he had been visiting a house nearby when Reese Allen had turned up unsuspectingly. As Reese ran at Joe explained that he was forced to do what it took to get Reese to stop moving forward, and that included blading him. After his arrest, Joe Welsh also allegedly told police that it's going to look good for me by getting my jaw snapped on my doorstep. It's going to be manslaughter. Definitely. Again, Joe had already told multiple people that he was going to case someone, by phone, in person, and also on social media, so there was definitely some sort of digital log. In the same tirade, Joe, who was supposed to be staying in a hostel, had also ranted that he ruled Newcastle and North Shields, and he could also get his hands on a gun, which he would use to another person at the hostel. At some point, Joe ended up at the mother of his child's home, after workers of the hostel decided to put Joe in a taxi in order to take him to another hostel. Now, Joe went to the mother of his child's home in order to see their child, allegedly. Now, it's important to mention that the mother of Joe's child was also struck by Joe. At Newcastle Crown Court, Joe Welsh stood in front of a judge and once again claimed self-defence. He explained that Reese Allen had come to his home and cracked him in the jaw, which forced Joe to counter with his own defence actions. The jury did not buy the fairy tale and Joe was found guilty of DM. The judge explained Joe Welsh was a danger to the public and decided to K a friend over a petty Facebook argument that was more about ego than anything else. Joe was jailed for life and was told that he would have to serve a minimum term of 25 years. As for Reese Allen's friends, they says that it was a good job that Joe Welsh had been jailed, because if he was not convicted of DM, there would be nowhere safe in North Shields that Joe Welsh could go to. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe.